All right. Hello, hello, hello. I am I'm sorry that I'm not going to have the intro music tonight. I'm on my DC computer right now, so everything is not set up. So I'm so sorry. That I'm sure that that's a big disappointment for All many. All right. Hello, hello. So yeah, that's that. I'm sorry. You usually begin the evening with the party music. I mean, I can hum it for you. Down, 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 down. Yeah, I know. Chloronimus, no music, we riot. I understand. Um, and a few things. Today is my birthday. Just want to say that Spain isn't flat. Justice for Spain. Happy birthday. You know I never said Spain was flat. I said it was flat leading up to Gibraltar and then shoots up. And then this is the big joke that I'm sure Patas is getting at here. That years ago, like a bunch of people tried to actually me. They're like, "What are you talking about? Spain is so mountainous, and there's all these mountains near fucking Gibraltar." And it's just like, go to Gibraltar, man. You've got La Linea, and then all of a sudden, like Gibraltar shoots up. It's just like you can look at any picture of it. It's just like, but this is the joke he's at after. Anyway, wanted to talk briefly about the how ridiculous Beyond the Wall is, and how George was not very careful. He was not very careful with distances or anything when it comes to Beyond the Wall, and how nothing really makes sense. If you start trying to make sense of geography beyond the wall, you will quite quickly become very frustrated, because it is hilariously bad. George kind of remembers how things work with regards to distances and then forgets and then re-remembers and tries to correct and retcon, and it's all over the place. So let's see. Let's talk about Beyond the Wall here. Okay. So here we have the map from A Dance with Dragons, and they did the best they could. Really, they did. But there's some things that are right in here that go well. So, for instance, at some point, Sam says that the wall is 100 leagues long, which is 300 miles. And at some point, they say that the new gift and Brandon's gift together is 50 leagues. I'm going to double check that, right? The gift, ice and fire. Just to make sure that I have that. I don't want to be confusing miles and leagues. No, I got it. So 100 leagues, 50 leagues. The dimensions of the gift and the wall are about right. The problem is once you go north. So in the beginning of A Game of Thrones, in the prologue, we find out that let's zoom in a little. We find out that Waymar Royce, Will, and Garrett have been they've been hard riding after wildlings for 9 days, going north and west and north and west. So you kind of say, okay, 9 days of riding. They specifically say 9 days and that it takes 8 or 9 days to get back. That's all well and good. The thing is in the chapter, they also specifically say that they can see the wall, that the wall is weeping. And so maybe it's Mercator or projection distortions. Well, we'll see in a second. It's beyond that. So nonetheless, they can see the wall, and they've been heading north and west and north and west. Now, from about 700 feet, high. You can see, which is the wall's height. You can see about 30 miles. Now, granted, maybe the wall's on a hill, maybe the wall's not in different places. There can be, maybe some small variance here and there of where the wall can be seen, where the wall cannot. But the idea is that they have been riding 8 or 9 days. Now, granted, it's the hypotenuse and everything. They're riding the hypotenuse, so the distance here. They can still see the wall. The wall is weeping. Now, that's all well and good. You could say, okay, well, 30 miles. Let's say 30 miles is the hypotenuse. Like, I don't know, you can do your trigonometry of your a squared plus b squared equals c squared and all of that and try to figure it out and be like, well, it's, with exaggerations and such, and say that maybe they're just within the 30-mile distance, off. See, I never know what you can see with my cursor here. So I will, let's try to throw something on the screen that is easy to see. Here we go. Oh, I've got this. Okay. This X. So you can see Brandon's gift is going to be around, that's 25 leagues. That's 75 miles. So about half that, let's say half that distance is like the side of the wall, right? So, whatever, maybe this isn't to scale and all, but based on this, they'd be somewhere 8 or 9 days. They're riding hard though. So what did we say? 10 miles a day or 10 miles a day. They're like 90 miles. But they're 30 miles within the wall. Like it's not quite making out. Maybe they're not going 10 miles. Maybe they're going 5 miles a day. Okay. If they go 5 miles a day, 9 days, that's 45 miles on the hypotenuse. That places them around the 30-mile marker, somewhere around here, you'd kind of guess. The problem is that later on in Clash of Kings, it's established that they go to Craster's Keep first, and that they're riding north and west and north and west. So now they're past Craster's Keep. So the retcon of having them gone to Craster's Keep is a bit off. So that doesn't kind of work. So it's like, are they before Craster's Keep or after? And this is the big thing, because in A Clash of Kings, we find out that from White Tree, you can see the wall, but on the way to Craster's Keep, they say, because it's warm, they say the wall would be weeping to the south. So Craster's Keep is not in sight of the wall, but Waymar and everybody went north and west, and we're at Craster's Keep and went north and west and could see the wall. So we have this disagreement on like where are they within sight of the wall 8 or 9 days up here, or are they past Craster's Keep 8 or 9 days? Now, it actually gets worse than that. It is a pretty impractical position for Craster's Keep that they have this like outpost there. That's 1 week away from the wall. You'd think it'd be further, but it's not. So we don't. Where the first question is like, where was Waymar? Is he before Craster's Keep within the side of the wall? Because it's a pretty big plot point that they're having the conversation, and he's like, oh, the bodies shouldn't be frozen or whatever, and he's like, the wall's weeping and things like that. Like it's not cold. The other thing is, the next thing is like, where are the bodies of Jaffer, Flowers, and Othar like found? Which also doesn't make any sense. So in that chapter, John 6 and John 7, John 6, The werewood circle is 1 league, is half a league from the wall. So it's 1.5 miles. So they ride out. Ghost disappears. Goes racing off, and then comes back with the body part. So it's really, how far can a wolf sprint in the couple hours there and back? You keep in mind. So it's how far can a wolf sprint in about an hour to go find a body part. In truth, like in real life, about 30 miles an hour. But so that's a ways. But the problem is that distance is still within sight of the wall. But in the next chapter, John 7, Mormont specifically says that they're not in sight of the wall, that the bodies are found not in sight of the wall. Let me bring up the quotes here, because it's just... I love these things. Okay. Let's get down here. John 7. Two of our brothers butchered almost within sight of the wall, yet your rangers heard nothing. So this is pretty. I mean, this is some sloppiness on George's part, where he has people traveling 8 or 9 days at the beginning and are inside of the wall, and now they are just the racing distance of Ghost, and they're not inside of the wall, but they're close enough that he's angry that the Rangers haven't heard anything, which is like completely unreasonable expectation. Like, because I don't think George understands how far a horn can be blown. Like, he's like, oh, you didn't hear this horn. And it's like, horns can blow like 2 miles. Like, there's no way that a horn could be heard like 30 miles away, like the side of the wall. So it's really interesting that, like, in the prologue, George seems to extend the distance that the wall can be seen really far. Because, like I say, it should be about 30 miles. But in the prologue, 8 or 9 days traveling, you'd actually think they'd be further than that. You'd actually be thinking that they're like 75, because, 10 miles a day or something. You're thinking that they'd be like 75 miles from the wall, but they're only 30 miles from the wall. And then in this one, George seems to think that you can get out of sight of the wall within like a day, like a day's ride. In A Clash of Kings, they then say that the bodies were found just a few leagues from the wall. So about 10 miles, which would totally be within sight of the wall. Waymar's compass was broken. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I suppose you could say that Waymar's an idiot and doesn't know, like, but actually no, it's Will. It's Will that's actually thinking that they're but yeah, it'd have to be Will's compass is broken and he's just an idiot. I thought the bodies were brought near the wall. Well, yeah, they were brought near the wall and found near the wall. I mean, yes, they were definitely not butchered there. But keep in mind, he says this quote, 2 of our brothers butchered almost inside of the wall, before the super sleuths figure out that they were dragged to the spot. So he, at first they're like, oh, they were butchered here. And then everyone's like, but there's no blood here. And Sam's like, they're not, their blood's coagulated and all sorts of stuff. But at this point, he thinks that they are almost within sight of the wall. And actually later in the chapter, John, when they're riding back, John feels better once he can see the wall. So in John 7, they're out of sight of the wall. They've somehow have gone 30 miles north in just the morning, because he comes back and it's only like the beginning of the afternoon, and John has this whole other thing about sitting down and talking to Mormont about Ned being a traitor and stuff like that, and then he gets arrested and all of that. So the idea that they could ride 60 miles in the morning there and back is a that's too far. But they ride out of sight of the wall and then back. But that would be 10 miles. It's further than a few miles. So like George is just like completely messing up on like where these bodies are and how far the wall is and whether you can see the wall. But going back to the map now. So that's just like, yeah. So where's Waymar? Is Waymar within sight of the wall? And is he before or after Craster's Keep? Is Craster's Keep within sight of the wall? Because we hear that Craster's Keep is not within sight of the wall, but White Tree Village definitely is. And then where the bodies are found is like, is it way out here? Did somehow like they go out to the Werewood Circle and then just Ghost just races as fucking fast as he can, just fucking 30 miles an hour for a full goddamn hour, finds this body, rips the hand off, and then turns around and goes back 30 miles an hour, gets all the way back. And then they're like, holy shit, and then the next morning they wake up really early and they're like, we got to ride because it's fucking 30 miles. Because they actually don't know exactly where it is. Like they're combing the woods. And then he gets this far. I mean, say they make it 30 miles out. And then Jeor Mormont's like angry that Waymar Royce didn't hear a horn from fucking 30 miles away. Like it's outrageous. Now, so where's the body? Were the bodies found out here or the bodies found down here? Was Waymar somewhere in here or is Waymar somewhere here? We have no clue. And then and the distances, like, okay, 8 or 9 days. 8 or 9 days. That means Craster's Keep was within 8 or 9 days? Or is this like one day? Can you get out of the view of the wall in one day? But then you got to remember that, oh Jesus, like the Great Ranging was 9 months. So that means, they made it to Craster's Keep, and then they made it to the Fist of the First Men, and they came back. And like, how long would that really take? Now, granted, in the prologue of A Storm of Swords, we hear that the wildlings are moving really slowly. He says like they're moving slowly like a river, like a glacial river, only 4 or 5 miles a day. So they must think 4 or 5 miles a day is a slow pace. So they must be going faster than 4 or 5 miles. So say the Great Ranging is going 10 miles a day, which is, that's a decent pace. 10 miles a day. Okay. So it would take like, would we assume that Craster's Keep is like 80 miles? And then like just a little bit of a week out. And then the Fist of the First Men is like a fortnight away, or like, let's say 3 weeks away. So they go out and then they come back. But what are they doing for, honestly, 5-6 months? Like just chilling at the Fist of the First Men for all those months? It's, And then on the other hand, like Mother Mole, she makes it to Hardhome pretty fast. She leaves the battle, and then they're talking about her at Hardhome as early as the Melisandre chapter. So like she's made it to Hardhome. I mean, that's like, we could argue like 2 or 3 months, but like there, she's moving pretty fast compared to the Great Ranging. That somehow just creeps along to the Fist of the First Men, and then somehow like creeps back in months and months and months. It's so outrageous that it's really difficult to even comprehend like where anything, like if you were to ask me like where is Bloodraven's cave, I have no fucking clue. Like based on these things, like what clues can I use? Like at some point they seem to run into some mutineers from Craster's Keep. And then they're just walking, and they're walking in circles, and you don't know. So I mean, anywhere. And then, not to mention, Thenns. Okay. How are the Thenns getting all the way here down? Because Mance Rayder has to go to that wedding. He goes to the wedding, and then he comes back, and he starts rallying all of the wildlings together so that they're in the Frostfangs. At the beginning of they're in the Frostfangs for around the time of the middle of A Clash of Kings. So is he able to go up and communicate with the Thenns? Who's going up to see the Thenns to bring them back? Because even if we're going with like, maybe it takes 3 weeks to get to the Fist of the First Men, that's just a fucking long trip. Especially if you're also doing that trip to Winterfell. Because the trip to Winterfell, Jesus, that's going to take months. So he's wasting months getting back, meeting Val. The Great Ranging was definitely too long. Move faster in smaller groups. I mean, obviously, but how far can the Great Ranging just get like stuck for like utterly months? Or getting to Hardhome, that had. I mean, the Waymar thing and the bodies thing are and oh my god, like the Great Ranging taking forever. Like none of these things make sense to me. Mother Mole. I guess we don't have enough information on Mother Mole, like how long they're at Hardhome, how fast they get there. So Mother Mole I can let pass. But man, oh man, it's really quite outrageous how little time and how much contradiction there is about it, especially in a Game of Thrones, when like Waymar is seeing the fucking wall, and then they're not seeing the wall when they're going to find the bodies. Like it's just, how did you get those two things wrong at once? They would have struggled with full carts. I mean, no doubt that like the Great Ranging is outrageous. I mean, a lot of people are like, oh, Craster is such a dickhead. Now, think about this. Think about like you're a wildling and you're trying to survive in the cold north, and 300 fucking people show up to eat your food. Like you'd be like, fuck you guys. Like honestly, you're like, it's brutal. It's brutal what they're actually putting on Craster there. But like, we never hear about how they're carrying food. And are they hunting? Are they like, how much food are they bringing with them? Like a year's worth of food? Are they doing that? So it's, But it just next read you do, like really keep an eye out on like, is the wall in vision? How long have they been traveling? How did they spend? Because, and it's not that like the Great Ranging is not aligned with the other events of A Clash of Kings, because it is. Like at the beginning of the book, we quite clearly hear about the Autumn Raven and the comet. Like we know that it fucking aligns with everybody else. And then at the end, you've got Stannis' invasion. And Stannis like rescuing everybody from the wildlings. So you know that they're like in sync with everybody else. Not to mention that you've got Gilly's fucking baby. So they make it to Craster's Keep, and they say she's showing in the early turns of pregnancy, whatever the fuck that means, because like you're not showing in the early turns of pregnancy, so it's a contradiction in terms. Like George is contradicting himself. Like she's showing in the early turns of pregnancy. Like, what are you fucking talking about? Like some woman dressed in furs. She's not going to be showing until like 5 or 6 months. And if you're in 5 or 6 months, you're not in the early turns. So I don't like, fine. But whatever the case, say Gilly is like 5 months pregnant. Let's say, say she's like in the middle. She then has the baby when they return. So they're clearly out there like 4 months, like at least. But I'm saying it's like fucking 9 months, like compared to the rest of the story, it's like 9 months. But even if we're going just on Gilly, you're going from early turns of pregnancy, whatever that fucking means, to birth. So they're at least it's 6 months. It's, like no way. Yeah, no way they're carrying 9 months of rations. I don't know, man. 9 months of rations. Hunting. Maybe they're really good at foraging. Like they can eat bark or something. At least the Craster files. Oh man, George is a really slow walker. There's some really funny. I mean, there's some really funny jokes if you read like Dying of the Light, because Dying of the Light, George makes some of the most ridiculous like distances where like a character spends like all morning walking and it's like 2 kilometers and you're like, what the fuck were you doing? Like it's only 2 kilometers. Like it's like a 20-minute walk. What are you talking about? Like, what are you doing? Or, at most 40 minutes, you're going super slow. Oh man, baby was born early. But what, 8 months, 7 months? Like, why is the Great Ranging 9 months? Okay, well, you start that it happens with the comet, right? So you can kind of argue that the comet happens as the same time as the prologue of A Clash of Kings. Okay. And so that's around the same time as Joffrey's name day. And then we know that Joffrey's name day comes, the new century, Joffrey's name day comes again by the time of the Purple Wedding. And then, right? Let me look this up again. Right, when's Purple Wedding? Jesus Christ, it's so much. Right, isn't Purple Wedding is near the New Year, right? Morning of a Purple Wedding is like January 1st. And so then we know that Stannis' invasion is after Stannis' rescue is after that. Mance attacks a little bit after the Purple Wedding. So, I mean, you could say that, like, okay, the Joffrey name day tourney is like looking at the comet is around Joffrey's name day, which is like February, and I think the Purple Wedding is like around the new year. So you're talking like 10 months, between 10 11 months between the comet and Stannis rescuing everybody at the wall. So even if you could say that, like, the comet maybe lingered a while, maybe the comet was in the sky a month. So that's why I'm saying, like, it's like 9 months, and that's being generous. It could be like 10. But yeah, it's crazy. All right. Anyway, enough bitching about that. But it's just one of those things that as I was doing the going over for Game of Thrones, you're just like, where the fuck are they? Where the fuck are they? Let's see. Oh shit, what's going on here? There we go. Jaehaerys the first royal progression in the Westerlands in 55 AC follows mostly the same routes. Rhaena and Dreamfire took in 51. Ashmark, Castamere, Wayfarer's Rest, and so an interesting coincidence. Ashmark, Castamere, Golden Tooth, Wayfarer's Rest, Pink Maiden. Huh. Well, that is very interesting. The I had originally I think long ago I was talking I think I was when I was talking about the idea of whether or not, like, how big Rhaena's rebellion was and whether or not Fire and Blood, like, downplays it or if it upplays it, because they were calling her, like, Queen in the West and all sorts of stuff. I think it's pretty clear that Jaehaerys was trying to, yes, bring in the realm and, like, go to the allies of Rhaena, because Rhaena had definitely established all of these allies, and was going around trying to get support for rebellion. Absolutely. But I hadn't considered the idea that she was leaving behind dragon eggs or hatchlings. Like, I just thought that, like, Jaehaerys was going and, like, trying to make enemies into allies and, like, consolidate his rule. But it's interesting if they were, like, given eggs around that time, or, like, if Rhaena was just playing fast and loose with her eggs. Because there is that kind of retcon that, like, that Daenerys' eggs are Rhaena's Dreamfire's eggs, right? That maybe she was leaving eggs right and left. I mean, it's certainly possible. I mean, I definitely think that those two routes are not coincidental. I definitely think that, like, Jaehaerys was going and trying to at least diplomatically deal with Rhaena's support. But whether or not he's recovering eggs and hatchlings, I mean, it's certainly possible. That would be an interesting rub. But I just assumed it was just a diplomatic thing. Any plans to have Jaime search Dorne for the real Myrcella? Kind of like what happened in the show and mirrors the Brienne story. No, I don't think I have any plans for that, mainly because Hota is already searching for Myrcella, and he's already kind of moved on to Old Town and is going to search further in different places in the Seven Kingdoms for her. And so to have like a second character searching for Myrcella, I hadn't thought about that. Not to mention the fact that like just resolving Jaime and dealing with Jaime and Brienne and Sansa, um, it just seems to be the focus of Jaime. And so like having him head all the way down to Dorne, it just it's not only like logistically difficult to move him to a different place, but it's also like motivation and thematically like it's a shifting of gears or adding something new to him. Like he already has some storylines that he needs to resolve. Oh yeah, he has his issues with Kat, Brienne, Sansa, even Arya, Cersei, Casterly Rock. Like you can say like these things are part of his life. Not all those things are going to be resolved, but adding something in like Myrcella and Dorne, where Jaime does not give a fuck about his kids, and he's never given a fuck about his kids. And so like adding that element of Jaime giving a fuck about his kids, how does it fit into his story? There's just not time. Like I get it. I mean, no, the show did it, but there's just not time for Jaime to go down to Dorne and do any of that. I kind of thought in the show when they did Jaime going down to Dorne that they were going to have him take over the story of Sir Aerys Oakheart or Sir Balon Swan, and there was going to be something similar in that respect, and there was nothing similar in the show to that at all. So, but yeah, no, I mean, and as for like mirrors to the Brienne story, I don't really see Jaime as a mirror to the Brienne story. I see Jaime as part of the Brienne story, that the two are thematically very linked. I believe it's the same story. I believe Jaime and Brienne are the same story. Like what Jaime and Brienne went through and how it enters into the Brienne story in A Feast for Crows is they're just, it's a continuous thing. I mean, it's a continuous thing when you're talking about like the brave companions and the rapists, and like what does it mean? What does chivalry mean, and what do these stories mean, and what is this idea of courtly love and courtly, and that ridiculousness of what defines like chivalry and a knight and stuff like that. If anything, the A Feast for Crows Jaime story is kind of the departure from the Jaime and Brienne story, with a bunch of just random shit. Like I think the Jaime story in A Feast for Crows is a little jumbled because it starts out as just like him being part of the Cersei story a little bit, and then him visiting random places, and you're kind of that like, and if you were to try to connect the Jaime story and A Feast for Crows thematically, it's hard. It's very hard. You're like Jaime at Derry, and Jaime at Harrenhal, and Jaime at Riverrun, and Jaime at Pink Maiden, or not Pink Maiden, Pennytree. How did those all connect? Like, like Jaime goes from like wanting to be Golden Hand to trying to deal with his family and thinking about his dad and thinking about Pia. And I think Jaime's story in A Feast for Crows is very scattered and weird. And I think meanwhile, Brienne's story is very focused, and it's very clearly the sequel to Jaime, a Storm of Swords. So I think just kind of wrapping Jaime into the Brienne story, and which I think is one story. They're one story in my mind, but I don't know. People can disagree. People can disagree with me, but I don't see him going to Dorne. Going to Dorne. Uh, uh. Great intro tunes. I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Uh, I can hum it. I like when Preston talks about sex. Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. You guys, guess you aren't Salt and Pepper fans. Why are the Thens so advanced? I mean, I guess it's just supposed to be a contradiction of things. I mean, the Thens are really far north. And not that there aren't civilizations that live really fucking far north. I mean, they're not civilizations, but at least tribes. Like, like there are Inuit tribes that were like way up on the northern part of Greenland and stuff like that. Like, in harsh situation, areas. So it's not that people can't live that far north. They can. But they're doing, they're making bronze. They're mining tin and stuff like that. While, they're a Bronze Age society versus the rest of the wildlings. I think it's just supposed to be one of those more like contradictions that George throws into the story to just be like, things are weird here, like I say, like the walls of Qarth or Andals existing in the Age of Heroes and steel being existing before the Bronze Age and all these sorts of contradictions. Knights before the Andals, before the Faith of the Seven, and all sorts of stuff. I think it's just one of those things that George throws into the story to try to just throw things off. Now, if I'm trying to come up with a more logical explanation, that we're talking about a post-apocalyptic society that's descended into an interregnum, and the past was definitely more advanced than the present. And so I think the Thens are supposed to perhaps be a relic of that more advanced society that has just kind of survived. Like, the rest of the wildlings have descended into Stone Age technology, and they are still in a Bronze Age society because things were different. Maybe it wasn't so cold in that area at one time, and they were an advanced civilization, and then things got cold, and they just kind of descended. But I think it's one of these things. It's one of these contradictions that George puts in there intentionally because the world is so fucked up and the timeline is so fucked up, and civilization advances differently because we think of technology getting better and better over time. Well, that's not true in Westeros, so you're supposed to just kind of like puzzle at all of these things. Why are the Qartheen and the Valyrians pale when they are in a sunnier, more hot climate, while the Rhoynar are tan and they're from a more northern climate? Like, how do these things make any sense? Well, it doesn't, because everything's messed up because of apocalypse. In A Song of Ice and Fire, are all epilogues and prologues related to some kind of magic? Other whites, R'hllor, Faceless Men, Lady Stoneheart, Melisandre, Skin Changers. Well, let me think through that. Okay, so the prologue of A Game of Thrones, the others show up, right? And then in the prologue of Clash of Kings, we kind of have, mystical fire, Melisandre fire magic. It's originally going to have glass candles too and things like that. But Storm of Swords goes back to the others, and then A Feast for Crows has it's got a faceless man and again glass candle talk, and then then we've got Viramir Sixskins with his others. I mean, it seems that there's something like that in those 5, and then our epilogues, we've only got 2. We've just got obviously Catelyn, and then we've got Kevan, but there's not too much magic in the Kevan one, right? I mean, you've got unless there's nothing really magical about his like little birds and stuff like that. So I guess your epilogue is not really it doesn't really hold up because you got Kevan, unless there's something I'm missing. So I would say there's not necessarily a rule. Like even George says things like, "Oh, in my epilogues and prologues, somebody dies," and you're like, "Well, Chet doesn't die in the prologue of A Storm of Swords." Like even George seems to believe these like little things, like, "Oh, the hard and fast rule is they have to die." Well, Chet didn't die. He didn't die then. So I mean, he dies shortly after, but he doesn't die in it. So I guess you have that. I mean, for this reason, for what you're talking about in the fanfic, we had, the sorrowful man come in as something like some sort of dark force from abroad, because the prologue of Clash of Kings and the prologue of Feast for Crows kind of has this sort of like dark force from abroad. So that was kind of the reason that I did choose that for the prologue of the fanfic. So there's some, but I don't know if it's magic is it with if we're talking about Kevan, but nothing. Craster's Keep. In and out, 20-minute adventure. It's true. You could walk more than 5 miles a day. That's not hard riding. That's the thing. Is they said they were going hard on the trail. I mean, unless it's going hard in a different way. But I assumed like hard on the trail is like fast or something. But yeah. Somehow, yeah, let's say they're doing 10 miles. 10 miles and they're still seeing the wall. But 30 miles and planet is as big as Earth. Planet is bigger. Their horizon would be further away. Yeah, it's true. But the problem is that like whatever leeway you give Waymar for still being able to see the wall after 8 or 9 days of hard riding, like plays against you not being able to see the wall a few leagues away for Mormont, where they make it there in just a morning. So their blood's all caligulated. Yeah. Caligula. Gendry ran it back. The wall clearly casts a barrier between Euclidean and hyperbolic space. Beyond the wall, they are moving on a Poincare disc. Oh my gosh. I don't even know what this is. This is some this is hard to visualize. This is complicated. Has to do with hyperbolic geometry. All points are inside the unit disk, and straight lines are either circular arcs contained within the disk that are orthogonal to a unit circle or diameters of the unit circle. So somehow, like, these are supposed to be parallel lines. Okay. I got it. I got it. Compass. Craster's the key to all this. It's too bad that he was killed. He would have had the answer. Huh, geographically, settlements like Hardhome make no sense. If you look at coastal places in northern Norway, they're all far inland as possible. I mean, all that's true because you want to stay away from like the harsh winds, but like maybe there's like a Gulf Stream effect and they're getting like this like burst of warm air like shooting up to Hardhome, and it's somehow like Hardhome is like warmer, and that's why it's there. That's just my guess. I don't know why that would happen, but yeah. Um, the Great Ranging was like a survey expedition. They would check every known village, etc. I mean, like they did say that like White Tree was like the fourth village they passed. Um, though that but I don't know if they're like just chilling for days. I mean, keep in mind, like if you were carrying food and stuff like that, you wouldn't want to waste all your food chilling for days, like doing nothing in these villages, right? Uh, Craster has a beautiful soul. When you never walk, you don't know what to tell. That's a harsh diss. Oh, hey, Preston, just a thought. I would say, hello, sorry for my log absence. Not that your channel depends on only one fan. Why, thank you, Loki Mudbugger. Welcome back. What's on George's hat? George's hat has a turtle on it. I'll bring it up here. So George's hat has a little turtle on it. And George, from a young age, always liked turtles. He was obsessed with turtles. He used to go to these fucking dime stores and buy snapping turtles. And so he always liked turtles. And his character, he started wearing this hat fairly late in life. And it was after he created this character for wild cards called the Great and Powerful Turtle. The Great and Powerful Turtle is essentially a stand-in for himself. He wears this turtle pin sometimes too. He likes these things. But the great and powerful turtle is a stand-in for himself. He's from Jersey. The Great and Powerful Turtle's from Jersey. The Great and Powerful Turtle's like attitude and everything is the same as George. Like you can see here, he's wearing a turtle pin. And he's fully said that like the Great and Powerful Turtle Ton Turdberry is like based on him. But of course, like a lot of things are based on him. I mean, Quentin is based on him. Sam is based on him. Sam is very based on him. Craster looks like him. There's all these characters that like are still based on him. But the great and powerful turtle is like the main one. So it's a wild cards thing mainly. I mean, he just likes turtles, but the turtle is it's mainly a wild cards thing. Great and powerful turtle. Great and powerful turtle has a he's called that because he's a master telekineticist. So he like sits inside a VW bug and flies around in the VW bug as armor to protect him, and then he can like do his telekinesis on the outside. How do you stay motivated when you keep adding all these mysteries when the answer is usually just George made a mistake? Yeah, I mean, it's that gets harder and harder when you kind of go through things and you're like, oh geez, like I had this theory, and then you realize that George can be sloppy. I will say this: he gets better at consistency as time goes on. He's more careful as time goes on. A Storm of Swords, a Clash of Kings, a Game of Thrones. He makes a fuckload of mistakes. He starts like checking these things and like, later on, and is more careful. He's more careful about people jetpacking. He's more careful about where people are on the map and their motivations. He's still not perfect, but he starts becoming more obsessive. And keep in mind, the internet becomes a thing later. Before, he's just doing things off the top of his head or doing research from books he has. And later on, like there is the game of, there is Elio's wiki and the internet and stuff, and he can check stuff, and he starts writing slower and he becomes more obsessive. So A Feast for Crows and A Dance with Dragons have far fewer mistakes than a Game of Thrones and a Clash of Kings and a Storm of Swords. Like there's a fuckload of mistakes. There's a fuckload of them. He was writing these books very fast, those early books very fast. And so yeah, I mean, I think a lot of this is like comes from the going over a Game of Thrones series where I'm going line by line through Game of Thrones again. Like this kind of like highlights a lot of them to me, where I'm just like, oh fuck, like what is he doing? What is he doing here? How should we read the Kraken Varys mentions in A Storm of Swords? A lie to troll Tywin, set up for Euron, colorful but irrelevant world building, or something else? No, I don't think it's a lie. I think at that point, I'm trying to remember the first like Kraken mention. I want to bring it up again because is it going to be in Tyrion? Okay. So here, I'll bring this one up. So he says, Varys, what do you have to report? The eunuch drew a parchment from his sleeve. A kraken has been seen off the fingers, he giggled. Not a Greyjoy, mind you, a true kraken. It attacked an Ibonese whaler and pulled it under. There is fighting on the stepstones, and now a new war between Tyrosh and Lys seems likely. Both hope to win Myr as an ally. Sailors back from the Jade Sea report a three-headed dragon has hatched in Karth and is the wonder of that city. Dragons and krakens do not interest me. Okay, so obviously we know that the Varys is very interested in Dany, and he knows that Dany is on her way back, and we know that Illyrio has changed his plan at this point to to include Dany in his plans. He sent off his ship to bring her back at Qarth. So, in a sense, like Varys in this situation is trying to be honest, but also have Tywin ignore the Dany situation. He wants Tywin to ignore Dany. He wants to be honest and be like, I told you about the dragons. So how do you make Tywin ignore this report of dragons and think it's dumb? Well, you throw it in there with a bunch of other mindless supernatural events and foreign, confusing foreign wars. So like nothing's more confusing than the conflict between Lysmere and Tyrosh. So you throw that in. Oh, it's just a bunch of fucking foreign wars. And then you throw in the Kraken, which may be real, but now it seems like, oh, mythical animals are all over the fucking place and foreign wars. And in this context, like now, you know, Tywin's just like, fuck it. Like, it's just, I can't deal with all these confusing foreign situations or mythical animals. So like Varys is clearly like, he doesn't want to get caught later for withholding information, but he throws it in a way that it's going to be ignored by Varys. Now, do I think do I think the Kraken is real? Yeah, I do. Later we find out that they're real. It is the first real Kraken we hear about, but you know, that's fine. I mean, it might have been originally when George wrote it, something mythological, and then he decided to make them real, for the sake of it. So like in retrospect, I think there's no reason to think it's not real, because the other things that Varys is reporting on are true there. There's no reason to think that the Kraken one is a lie when we know that Krakens are real, and so, you know, why make up that one? I mean, if he were really trying to make up a lie that would help him more, is to come up with like a truly mythical animal, like, oh, a sea dragon was. What rumors of a sea dragon have surfaced here, and rumors of dragons in Qarth have surfaced. Then you'd have like a mythological story and a real story that you want to make sound like it's mythological. But I think you know, we have every reason to believe that the Kraken is real in the story. The other things that Varys mentions are true. Krakens are real. There's no reason to believe that he made up the Kraken story. In Storm, Beric sends Greenbeard and the Mad Huntsman south of the Mander for grain. Any ideas where he sent them? Also, Friends in the Reach. Yeah, you know, I have thought about Greenbeard and Mad Huntsman, because they don't show up in Lady Stoneheart's group, and they're listed in the appendices of A Feast for Crows as part of Beric's group. We see in the appendices of A Feast for Crows a split in the Brotherhood Without Banners, that the Brotherhood Without Banners is in two factions, and the Beric faction and the Stoneheart faction and Greenbeard and Mad Huntsman and Swampy Meg and John O'Nutton and other people, you know, are in the Beric faction. Now, I think he legitimately sent them down there to get food. Like, it was supposed to be something symbolic of the fact that, like, Beric cares about the small folk and he's a man of the people and that sort of thing. But yeah, they haven't showed back up, and the last we hear is that maybe they're in the Reach. I mean, not in the Reach. Maybe they're in the Neck now. The thing is, he sends them south of the Mander. Like, it's been a long time. I mean, they could be anywhere because that's in Storm, right? So it's been a long, long time since we've seen Greenbeard and Mad Huntsman. So they could literally be anywhere. So I'm assuming that they're up in the Neck with the Beric faction. Whether Beric is leading that faction or whether Greenbeard is leading it, I don't know. But I think they're with them. But I don't know if it had much to do with like Friends in the Reach. I don't know. I mean, it could be. I go back and forth about it, right? There is lots of evidence showing that maybe there's this connection, parallels between the Aegon cause and the Brotherhood Without Banners. Obviously, I did that the Riverlands of the Dragon series, but I do think thematically, like, there's supposed to be the Brotherhood Without Banners are supposed to be like, you know, this question of like, where do we seek morality if not in a king? How else do we know what's right and wrong? That philosophical question. And the philosophy, you know, and the idea is like, oh, is it utilitarianism, secular humanism, helping people like morality outside of just doing what a king wants, what a king does, you know, desires of you. So what do you think about Cersei's trial being 7 versus 7? No, I know that like this has been in the fandom for a while. Like, wouldn't it be cool if Cersei's trial by battle was a trial by 7? But no, I don't think so. I think that theory doesn't work on a number of levels. Like, one, Cersei is having trouble finding a single person to fight for her. And she gets the mountain at the very end. Okay. So the idea that all of a sudden Cersei would find 6 other fucking people to fight for her is ridiculous. They already established that only the Kingsguard can fight for her, and that she doesn't, and there's not enough Kingsguard around. So you've got like Boris Blount and Meryn Trant, and that's only 3. Like, it's just not working. Jaime's lost. He would have to come back to get all 7. They would have to find out about Sir Balon Swan is off on his Darkstar hunt. Like, all of these things like just don't work. Okay. How are they going to get 7? How are they going to get 7 people for Cersei? The other thing that doesn't make sense of it is that Cersei is being set up for a trial by battle around the same time that Jaime is being set up for a trial by battle. So you've got these 2 parallel characters, the twins, having trials by battle at the same time. Cersei and Jaime. Jaime being captured by the Brotherhood and going on trial like the Hound did, probably. Cersei having a famous trial by battle coming. So very close to the same time, you got the 2 twins having side by side parallel chapters of trial by battles. If Cersei is sitting there having a fucking 7-on-7 Royal Rumble, what the fuck is Jaime's holding his dick like with like 1-on-1. That's you know, like it doesn't like fit in that parallel structure. I mean, again, maybe you don't believe me when I say that like there's a parallel structure being set up of Jaime heading into a trial by battle at the same time as his twin sister Cersei getting a trial by battle. But maybe you can reject that premise and the 7-on-7 like can be there. But then what is Jaime doing? Is he having a trial by battle? So there's no trial by battle for Jaime. He's not being captured like the Hound and being brought to the Brotherhood and having a trial. Like, that's not happening. You know, okay. But 7-on-7, it's just, I understand, like, people want coolness and all, but it's well established that Cersei can't get 7 people. Like she can't. She can barely get 1. And Loras is not coming back. He's on Dragonstone injured. Balon not coming back. He's off searching for Darkstar. Jaime not coming back. Captured by the Brotherhood. So what are we left with? I mean, and then the Kettle Blacks in jail. I mean, you could let you could let a Kettle Black out of jail. You could get Meryn and Boros, but then that's 4. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do with these other 3? It just doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. The last chapters of Jaime, he says he needs to tell the truth to Tom and Myrcella. Oh, that's interesting. That's something that he needs to go do. Yeah, I mean, eventually. I don't know if he's in dire need. It's crazy. It's crazy how Skagos is very near the mainland and not very far to the wall, but the people know very little of what's going on there. Yeah, and there's a little bit of contradiction there. And in the Storm of Swords, we hear about the Magnar of Fen and like Skagosi going to the wall. In the early books of a Game of Thrones, like we hear about ships making port on Skagos, and then that goes away. So I mean, there's some retcons with Skagos, which is why, like in the fanfic chapter, we tried to resolve those all by making like some parts of Skagos unknown and some parts occasionally trading and stuff like that. So, but yes, it's completely crazy that no one would know that's going on Skagos. So it's like it's silly. I mean, it's silly. I mean, ships are going up. Like, come on, let's look at this. I mean, come on. Like, ships are sailing up into the Bay of Seals, and Skagos is right there. I mean, why would you not know what's going on that island? Like, that's just silly. That's just, anytime you go from Essos and want to cross to Braavos, you're going to pass it. But it is what it is. A lot of things are silly. Why is everybody speaking the common tongue? Will we ever visit Gulltown? Maybe with Arya. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, you're right that like if there were a time to visit Gulltown, it would be with Sansa. But if you slow roll the chapters, but yeah, I'm gonna push Sansa next to Maidenpool, but which leaves Gulltown. Maybe Arya can visit Gulltown. Maybe somebody can visit Gulltown sometime. But you are right that like Gulltown, does kind of need a visit. Doesn't every place need a visit? We've never made it to Highgarden or Casterly Rock or so many places. But I guess I'm gonna visit Bear Island. Create an old fanfic story. So recently, rereading A Game of Thrones, found out that Jeor Mormont says that in his youth, he was friends with Pycelle. We have no idea how that happened, but maybe, there's a fanfic idea out there of young Jeor, Pycelle in Gulltown for some reason. There's no explanation on why Jeor Mormont knows Pycelle, but that's what he says. He says he knew Pycelle in his youth, so, why not? Why not? Maybe they were living in Gulltown. They had a party house. He actually says I was friends with Pycelle, Barristan, and Stannis in his youth. Mormont. Pretty which doesn't make any sense considering that Mormont is like, what the fuck's going on with like this Lyanna Mormont thing, you know? And no one ever mentions the fact that like Jeor Mormont was friends with Stannis in his youth. Nope. Nobody fucking mentions that. God damn it. That's that's an oversight. God damn it. Oh, God, when A Dance with Dragons comes around and everybody's like, there's no king but king in the north, and like, who's this brat? Like, you were fucking friends with. He specifically fucking says it right here. He says, I mean, this is the thing. Jon comes in, finds out that Ned has been arrested. And essentially, he's like, I'm going to pull some fucking strings. And he fucking flexes and he's like, I knew some of the king's counselors in my youth. Old Pycelle, Lord Stannis, Sir Barristan. Whatever your father has done, he's a great lord. He must be allowed to take the black here. So he's saying, I know these motherfuckers well enough that I'm going to pull some strings and try not to have him executed and have him take the watch, like join the watch. He's claiming he knows Pycelle, Stannis, and Barristan that well. I know Stannis. I can convince him to send Ned to the wall. You don't worry your pretty little head, Jon. Really? Like, when were you fucking friends with Stannis? And if you were friends with Stannis, how come everyone on Bear Island doesn't know who the fuck you are? What was they were hanging in Gulltown, man. The fucking adventures. They'd rented this house. Stannis, Mormont, Pycelle, and Barristan had rented this fucking house in Gulltown. And they like lived there that summer. It was like one of their like last hurrahs, you know? It was like American Pie 2, where they rent the house. But it was Jeor Mormont, Lord Stannis, Old Pycelle, and Sir Barristan. It was a weird time. But you know, now Jeor knows he can write a letter, man. He can fucking write a letter. Because of that summer they spent in Gulltown. Rewatching season 1, episode 9. Was it the writers or George for Aemon's fuck up in his family tree that he left out Jaehaerys II? You might have covered it already. So this is the writers. George mentions it at some point that they had revised the family tree and that it was a little different. But essentially it's not a fuck up. Like, it was intentional. That they felt that the family tree was getting too long, and like with aging people up and changing ages around, like they just figured that like it made more sense to eliminate a generation in order to like make Maester Aemon's age work. Cause, let's look at, Maester Aemon. Because in the show, I don't know how how old is he in the show? Because in the book, he is 100 years old when it starts, you know? So it's one thing to have like 100-year-old character. I don't know if he's 100 years in the show. Is he in this? Let me see if they ever mention his age. No, I guess he's still 100. No, he's 98, I think. Wait a minute. Yeah. No, he's like 96 or something in the show, and he's 100. I mean, it's not much, but he says he feels like a 100-year-old man freezing to death, but we're not sure if he is. In the books, he's definitely 100, and he dies at 102. I think he's like, I guess you could claim he's like 100, and it says he dies at 100, so he's like, yeah, 96. So if you eliminate a few years, but yeah, it's just like they just kind of felt it was a bit much, because I think there's also some like some people having kids at super young ages in order to get Aemon out. Let's see. We go Aemon. Aemon has Egg, and then they eliminate Jaehaerys II and just have Egg giving birth to Egg gives birth to the Mad King. So I think it's also because I guess on the other end, you're aging up Daenerys a few years, making Aerys a lot older, trying to make it all work. Here, I'll show just real briefly. This is it. I mean, I guess they didn't need to change Aemon's age, considering that you could just change Egg's age. But obviously here you got Egg has Jaehaerys, and then Jaehaerys has the Mad King, and then the Mad King has Dany. But Dany is older in the show by a few years, and then Aemon is younger by a few years, and they just thought it was just confusing to have all of this, like how many generations, so they just got rid of Jaehaerys and then had Egg having Aerys II. I'm sure that'll be retconned out with Dunk and Egg, and it'll go back to the book continuity. But that's all that happened. It was intentional, and I think George has mentioned it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the language hard on the trail could be close on the trail. It's true. I mean, they might not be going that fast. But like I say, like 5 miles a day is still like 45. And that's a slow leisurely walk. I mean, 10 miles a day on a horse is not very much. Like 10 miles is pretty slow on a horse. And that would lead to 75 miles because you're going diagonal, but like or so it's just you can eliminate the like riding hard, but still, like, how fucking slow are you meandering on your horse? Like, I mean, or maybe are the wildlings being circuitous, but he says they're going north and west and north and west. So maybe the wildlings are just being circuitous and being like, oh, we went up and went down. Because it's, what is he? Like, they're sounding like they're going in one direction, but they said 9 days they've been riding north and northwest and then north again, farther and farther from the wall, hard on the track of a band of wildling raiders. So farther and farther from the wall sounds like they are continuously heading away from the wall. So whether it be north or whether it be northwest, their direction is always away from the wall. So it's very, very difficult to get to them being within sight of the wall, only 30 miles away. You know, it's yeah, it's a tough to make that work. The Shivering Sea gets warm air now. It's possible. That's what I'm saying. I know the Shivering Sea gets some nice warm. Got to get Hardhome to be nice and warm. You know, so the Shivering Sea is not shivering. You're absolutely right. Resurgent Estermonts. Oh, can you explain the AI bubble to me like I'm a bio mage? Well, first we have to understand, like, I don't know. First I have to describe like what a bubble is. So, conceptually, we have to go back to how much is something worth? How much is something worth? Like any product, like how do you know how much something is worth? And so like on a real simple level, you say like, okay, well, how much is a Coca-Cola worth? Oh, well, I can go to the grocery store and I can see that a Coca-Cola sells for whatever, 75 cents. And I can be like, well, that's how much a Coca-Cola is worth. And you can say, okay, well, that's interesting. So you're now saying that the market determines value. But that's an odd, does the market determine value? I'm going to, so that means, does price equal value? Like, what does it mean? Is that the truth? Because then people start saying, don't some things have more value than the price? Like, honestly, like if we didn't drink water, we would die. So don't you kind of think that like the value of something, isn't it more than that? Is the value of it the utility that you get from it? And if the utility you get from it, isn't that your willingness to pay? So next you have this idea of like, does value equal willingness to pay? Right? So which is it? Price? The market price? Or the willingness to pay? Because then all of a sudden you say, well, what about like don't we get angry when people price gouge us? When we take something that we know that tomato should be $2 and they're price gouging me and they're charging me $4. The market price is $2, but they know that my willingness to pay is $4. So now you're kind of seeing that the value of something is a little nebulous. It's not really market price. We often think about like, oh, well, how much is my comic book collection worth? Well, this guidebook says that this comic book is worth $100, but if I go on the market, the willingness to pay is only $5, but my sentimental value of it is something else. And then somebody's like, well, I'm going to destroy this comic book unless you pay me some money. What's your willingness to pay me not to destroy it? And you start getting into all these weird questions on like, what is value? What does it mean? How much is something worth? Okay, well, a neoclassicist economist would say, no, the fucking value is the price. The market price is the value. That's all there is. We can't measure value any other way. So this is it. And if price always equals value, that means there's never a bubble. Because if market price, if people's willingness to pay on the market is the value, then something is worth what it's worth. You know, if everybody speculates and the value and the price grows, then the value grows. So the neoclassicists would say that there's no bubbles, that's actually the real value of something. But there's all the sorts of economists that actually do study these sorts of things and understand that like speculation can create this fake price, this secondary price that's above the real price, right? So you gotta kind of understand that like a bubble is that value is a very nebulous term, and that we don't really know what something's worth. We don't. And the price, the best thing we have is a horrible mechanism, which is the market's price or people's willingness to pay, which aren't the same, but they're kind of fluctuating around. People's willingness to pay and the price, and then speculating on what I think the price ought to be in the future. So my willingness to pay is going to change because I think I'm speculating on what it's going to be in the future and the market price, and it's all fucking shifting around. So take this to like AI. All of these companies are saying that they're researching AI and they're going to make you a whole bunch of fucking money, and they're selling their stocks and they're investing stuff and they're investing in each other, and it's getting all very nebulous. And you sort of say, well, I want to invest in that because I think on one level, maybe I think that AI is going to have a huge future value. Or maybe you're investing in it because you just think that it's going to go up, like tulips in the Netherlands. And so you end up with this like real nebulous thing on like what are these companies worth? And then, okay, so, and then a bunch of people have given you money speculating on how much your AI company is worth. And then you're like, well, I'm going to invest in another AI company on because I myself am speculating now. Like the company that people are putting money into, speculating on its value, is also putting money in other companies speculating in its value. And that company is also putting money in on speculating on its value. So now it's really getting confusing that the speculators are speculating in this like fucking weird loop. And so, long story short, on a very simple level, we don't really know what the value of items are, and that people speculate on the value of items because they think they can make money. The AI bubble is unusual in that you now have the speculators speculating with each other in a loop on it. Like imagine if like the comic book that everybody's speculating value on has rational actors, that the comic book is now buying and investing in other comic books, because that's what's going on. A company is made up of people, so people are speculating on the company, and that company is speculating on other companies, and that company is speculating on other companies. So it gets really weird and nebulous now, because now it's not just speculating on a currency, it's speculating on people who are speculating on people who are speculating on people. It's new ground. And it doesn't even matter that it's AI. It's just like outside of the fact that it's AI, which is just fucking stupid and unproven and defeatist in its profits. Like, how can Google, Google makes its money by advertising revenue. It makes its money by you clicking on a link. So it's like, I'm going to make an AI that makes it so you don't have to click on the link. Like, what are you doing, Google? Like, what are you fucking doing? None of it makes sense to me. Or the fact that like the same people that are like, let's keep out immigrants because they might be stealing jobs, are like let's make AI so that no one has a job. Like, what are you fucking doing? What are you doing? Nothing. Like a bio major. But yeah, on this very basic level, understand that it's very nebulous on what something's worth. That yes, economics is based on like finding the value of stuff and determining the value of stuff and doing budget constraints and stuff, but also know that like the value inherently, philosophically, the value of an item is very nebulous. No one really knows what the value of an item is. The best we have is the market price, but then we have the speculation on what that market price might be. And so no one knows what true value, like what's the true value of something? No one knows. No one knows. And because no one knows, you can have this bubble. This bubble is the realm of unknown on what something is worth. And that can grow to any fucking size. Anyway, I don't know if I explained that very clearly or not, but just know that like philosophically ask yourself what something is worth, and your brain will break. But that's what economics is based on. To one up Cersei, Jamie's gonna have a battle of 77 on 77. Who has a better story than Darkstar? No one. He's gonna be king. He's gonna be king. He's most deadly by starlight. I did come up with he's most deadly by starlight. I did come up with that line. I'm most deadly by starlight. Aside from George CBA, why aren't there any rival academic institutions? The Lannister King never built a Cambridge to rival the Citadel's Oxford. Oh. I mean, I guess we do hear about the Alchemist Guild. So, I mean, I suppose the alchemists are rivals to the Citadel. And in fact, like people preferred them until very recently, right? So like, not to mention you have Septons too. So it's not that there aren't rival advisors and learned men out there. The thing is that there is a lot of like collusion between the Septons and the Citadel too, though, right? With the High Tower and High Towers in Old Town. But yeah, like why didn't anyone ever build like a rival school? Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think like. I mean, in real life, yeah, these little places of learning were all over the place. I mean, even if you kind of said like, oh, even if you were to say like, oh, all the grand learning is in Byzantium, like, no, there's all sorts of little places in Florence and places in Spain and all sorts of little, monasteries and schools and all sorts of places of learning all around the Middle Ages. I mean, I kind of know that the in-world, like the real world reason is that George is basing the Citadel like largely on his previous story, Windhaven, which has like, a large institution, academic institution, and as well as like, Bene Gesserit kind of stuff from Dune and ideas like that, where there's like one big conspiratorial like academic institution. And his idea about the conspiratorial academic institution is a very early thing. Like he was going to have all of the maesters returning to the Citadel because the glass candles turned on in the fucking prologue of A Clash of Kings. Like, it's a fairly early concept that he was going to have a maester conspiracy of some sort, and there was something crazy going on with the maesters. So I mean, this like, you know, this idea of like having the Windhaven institution, and then like, you know, these manipulator advisors like Bene Gesserit was always there. So I mean, the in-world thing is these things didn't rise because George, that wasn't the function of the story. Like, why aren't there a rival Bene Gesserit like advisor group? I mean, I understand in Dune there's later the honored the sex nuns that come later, but like, why aren't they existing within the Empire? But yeah, I don't know. I guess they just had their fucking alchemists, their alchemists and their septons, and but yeah, they were pretty anti. I guess they're all anti thought. It's weird that the Citadel is able to function and send maesters out to people with under like separate kingdoms. That's kind of weird that they had a centralized advisor system, but split on everything else. Mormont went to college with Pycelle status. That's what I'm saying. It's parasocial. Like Jeor Mormont worships Stannis. He's like, Stannis the Manus. And Stannis is like, who are you? Who are you fuckers? Has to be Greyjoy Rebellion. No. You know, you'd think, but like, we don't hear about Jeor going. Right, Jeor is on the old side. So Greyjoy Rebellion is what, 83? 283? No. That's Robert's Rebellion. 289. So that's 11 years ago. Jeor is in his 60s. He's like too old to be fighting in the Greyjoy Rebellion. I mean, we already know that Jorah went. You know, so I mean, maybe afterwards, you know, he was like, hey, let's go to the Lannisport tourney and watch my son ride and do some jousting and shit. And he's like chilling, and he meets everybody at the tourney, and you know, they're hanging in tents and people are falling in love, and there's an entire like different story. When does Jeor even go to the wall? When does Jeor go to the wall? He's not having like a little, his own little Harrenhal tourney. Presumably prior to the Robert's Rebellion, Jorah states that he's been in the Night's Watch longer than Alistair Thorne. Oh fuck, you're right. Okay, so yeah, no, Jeor is already on the wall. He's already on the wall. Thing is, Stannis isn't that old. So what the fuck is Jeor doing hanging out with Stannis? Stannis is a baby. He's a fucking baby compared to Mormont. Like, when are they fucking hanging out? Like, Jeor Mormont is in the Watch before 83, which means he is in the Watch before, like, when Stannis is a fucking teenager. So how is Stannis hanging? Like, why is Jeor no teenage Stannis? It's fucking crazy stories, man. Was like Stannis mowing his lawn? Like, was his paper boy or something? Like, what is he doing? I mean, they're very different, very different ages. Man. Man, oh man. I mean, it makes more sense that he's friends with Barristan and Pycelle, but fucking Stannis. What is? Why is he hanging out? Why is pre-watch Mormont hanging out with Stannis? Um. Oh God. What extent is A Song of Ice and Fire about the failure of legacy? You mean in like a meta sense, or you're talking about George? um, I don't know if it's like in the story, it's about failure of legacy a lot. A lot of it's about like the circles. I mean, everybody trying to change the system and it just really not working. Like, I understand what you're saying with the failure of legacy. Like, Tywin wants to have this incredible legacy with his children, but because he's such a dickhead in trying to implement the legacy, he created 3 very fucking broken children who aren't able to do shit. And his entire legacy is going to like fall apart. But it's also about like, in trying to do that, like creating fuckheads that are going to try to do that for the next generation, you know, like, because Tyrion talks with Oberyn about like how everyone was scheming to get each other married and rise up the ranks, and it fucked them up. And here they are, just like repeating the wars and the conflicts and the feuds. So it's like the failure to produce like a positive legacy. It's just just this creation of this like negative feedback legacy. I think. Which character would you want to be your wife? Let me think about these. Think about who's the least horrible character in the series. I mean, there's like obviously like the Dornish characters are the most interesting, right? But and the most intelligent, but at the same time they're the most reckless, you know? And even if you're gonna say like somebody like Kat, she's like she can be reckless too, right? And so like but the characters that aren't reckless are kind of like boring and subservient, and they're not very interesting. So what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Who would be the best wife in the story? Oh God. There's not many good options. I mean, even like a character like Ilaria, Book Ilaria. She's supposedly like, the most enlightened, but there's definitely elements that she might be scheming secretly, especially if the show is secretly based on the book or something, and that Ilaria is there. But yeah, it's I don't know if there's many good options. I guess, I mean, what, like Jenna Lannister? Like what, or like you're trying to like come up with somebody that's intelligent but not crazy and reckless, who you could have a conversation with, but I guess, I don't like, I'm trying to think of anybody else that we know who's just not like fucking insane. Like there's people that are going to be interesting who might be good in bed, right? But like they're also going to fucking kill you. Like, like Asha or Ariane or Tyene, right? You're just like, oh my god, I'm gonna fucking die. Um, you know, so I guess yeah, you know, so I guess Mary Strong Belwas. Mm, mm, not many choices here. Not many choices. Jenna Lannister, I guess. Jenna Lannister. There's my code. Is there any way for the far east of Essos wraps around the planet and somehow becomes the north of Westeros? The wall and the five forts have served the same purpose. I mean, I think we're supposed to think something like that. I mean, we're either supposed to think that these are parallel stories where something equal is happening there, or that they're both like wrapping around to they're both going to the North Pole or something, and we're dealing with the same threat or something. And the five forts are doing the same thing as the wall. Like I mean, it's either like literally the same thing, or it's just metaphorically the same thing, right? Like it's but yeah, I mean, I absolutely there seems to be a chance that's fucking happening. I mean, how big is the world? Is the world supposed to be the same size as ours? Because it looks like Essos stretches, but again, like with projection and stuff, it's very hard to tell like how much stuff has been warped. But yeah, I think it's supposed to be that. I think what did they describe the five forts as? Um, what are the monsters again? Raiders from the Grey Waste. That's all we know about them. Demons of the Lions of the Night. Have horns, black blood. Slain with cold iron. I mean, the others are supposed to hate iron too, so I don't know. Dothraki lay with demons, I guess. Same sorts of things again. Yeah, I guess it's supposed to be the same sort of stuff. Which character do you want to be your mentor? I mean, the what? Like, I mean, Syrio sounds like the most fun, right? Like, Syrio sounds fun day to day. He's certainly going to be interesting. That'd be good stuff. Who else should I be? My yeah, I guess so. I mean, would he teach me much? I don't know. I guess he'd teach me how to fight well. He seems most interesting. He's got good advice. He's got good stories. We only have a little window into him, but I think he'd be the best mentor. I think the other mentors that we get are a bit crazy, like Jeor Mormont or Corrin Halfhand. Like you're like, oh god, what am I supposed to make of those guys? No, it's totally going to be Syrio. He's the best mentor. I don't know who else there is to mentor you. Do you think Bernie would have won in 2016? No, I don't believe he would have won in 2016. He that's the thing is, first of all, he didn't win in 2016. Like if you remembered, like Hillary Clinton defeated him in primaries, and you can sit there and like and like whine about the system being rigged against him and shit like that. But if you look at if you look at the number of people that came out and voted for Bernie, it's like a third, and Hillary had like 2/3. Like, no, I don't think Bernie is going to win. He didn't win in 2016. He didn't win in 2020. Like he's continuously beaten by other candidates, and there's a reason for this. He never secured the support of the black vote. The black vote went for Biden hard, And the black vote, they liked Hillary good. They liked Hillary well enough. But Biden really, had strong black vote. Bernie, among Democrats, he just was not going to do that. Now, I understand, I like Bernie a lot, but let's be realistic here, okay? If he were going to run on a national stage, do you think that, in a world where Republicans can just make shit up and people believe it, okay? This is a world where, John Kerry, squeaky clean John Kerry, is swift boated and everybody's like, oh my God, he lied about his Purple Heart. Or that Al Gore, who probably would have been the smartest, greatest president of all time, is, oh, he's so arrogant and he's going to take away our guns. The fact that they can just make shit up. Hillary Clinton, she's dying. Hillary's fucking emails, all this corruption with uranium, just fucking stuff they made fucking up. Hunter Biden's laptop and somehow something with Ukraine that no one can explain. They can always make shit up. The Republicans will always use stuff and they'll make shit up. Do you think that Bernie wouldn't have been labeled a fucking communist? Do you think they wouldn't have been oh my God, communist, socialist all fucking day and run that message forever? And also, do you think America, doesn't have people that dislike Jews? Do you think there aren't anti-Semites in America? Come on. America can't even elect a woman. Okay. Do you think that we're just going to be electing Jews right and left? No, Bernie's not fucking winning in 2016. The communist Jew that they would, of course not. This idea of that Bernie is so revolutionary and he just inspires people. It's just not fucking true. It's true to your demographic that you think he's super inspiring and revolutionary. And I love him great. He's great. But let's not be a fucking delusional Bernie bro here. Okay. He's not the fucking he's not this guy that everyone loves and would have voted for. It rests on this opinion that these Bernie bros are sitting there resting on this opinion that Clinton supporting Democrats will cave and vote for Bernie. That they are not as stubborn as Bernie bros who refuse to vote for Hillary. I lived through this time. I'm friends with these people that are no, fuck Bernie, Hillary all the way. You think I didn't fucking know these people? You think these people didn't exist? That everyone, that every other Democrat was just going to be spineless and was going to be fine, I'll vote for Bernie. No, there were people that hated Bernie just as much as Bernie bros hated Hillary. Okay. That's just the truth of it. And then pulling the Republicans in. Who is a Republican going to vote for? The communist Jew? Yeah, I get it. Oh, but Joe Rogan, he liked Bernie. Do you think Joe Rogan is the entire Republican Party? Do you think that that represents everybody? When you think of who votes Republican, the billionaires who want low taxes no matter what. Do you think they're going to like communist Jew? Do you think the redneck religious people in the middle of fucking nowhere are going to be voting for them, for the Jewish candidate? Come on. Come on. And the thing is, there was a fucking election. He didn't win. He didn't beat Hillary and he didn't beat fucking Biden. It happened twice. And you can, and people can fucking whine this and this. Oh, but they never supported him and super delicate. No, the only thing Bernie did well at were caucuses, which weren't even based on voting. Caucuses are people scheming in corners and negotiating. It wasn't even solid votes. When you went by solid votes, Hillary fucking destroyed him. She had the massive appeal. So don't rewrite history, okay? About what happened. People are still sitting here being fuck, maybe the world wouldn't be fucked up if we chose Bernie. No, okay? stop blaming. First of all, stop blaming Democrats for the world being a piece of shit. Okay, the world's a piece of shit because of Republicans. Okay, and they would still exist. Like if Bernie were run, like they still are really shitty. They're still pieces of shit now ruining the world. You think they're like all of a sudden they would have been like not pieces of shit? Like, come on. Like it's just delusional fucking thinking to think that like Bernie was going to win in 2016 if Hillary didn't. Like, come on. Are we going to talk about Bondi? Oh, how would the story change if Renly was older than Stannis? Would the War of Five Kings have a different outcome? I have to think about that, situation, because obviously, like, Stannis is still Stannis, right? He's still this insecure dude, who lives in the shadow of his brother. And so, like, if he was in the shadow of two brothers, would that be different than being in the shadow of one brother? Then he's like the brother who like both Renly and, well, I mean, he kind of is already in the shadow of two brothers. His younger brother is like good looking and likable, and he's not. And he's in the shadow of like Stannis, So I mean, the major problems for Stannis were his parents died, and he needed love, and he never got it. And he was in the shadow of his brothers, and he was never given any fucking respect. And you could kind of say like, oh, but if Renly were older, then there'd be no like slight about Storm's End and stuff like that. Stannis would come up with something. Stannis would come up with something to be angry about, and he would come up with some reason on why he should be king. Now, granted, like the calculation with Renly, everything like Ned's conspiracy with Renly would have gone differently. So Renly would be, when he's like, oh, but the king is you, Renly. Then Renly wouldn't have fled, and they would have done their coup better. Or maybe both of them would have been killed in King's Landing, depending on what Littlefinger did. But it would have been a very different situation. Ned's coup would have unraveled differently before the War of the Five Kings. Either Ned and Renly would win the coup, or they would both lose the coup and they'd both be beheaded, and it would go right to Stannis without his battle with Renly, which means I don't know how much it changes. Then you're getting back to like the Blackwater. You're just back to the Blackwater. So you're either crowning Renly if Ned's coup is successful, and if Ned coup is unsuccessful, Renly dies when Ned dies, and you go there, yeah. Okay. Oh, thanks for the econ lesson on stream. Kept me company doing some Tyranid sculpting. Oh man, doing some Warhammer. Look forward to catching the rest later. Wow, he's doing some Warhammer 5000 up painting. That's some dedication. Why did Jon Con get appointed Hand? What happened to the other families on Aerys II's small council, Chelstead, and some of the other forgettables? Well, Jon Con, there was this, so contrary to what a lot of people think, like Aerys, like the Mad King is actually pretty young, and he liked younger men and younger people on his councils. And so I think he saw Jon Con as being like young with new ideas or something. And so he picked him. Now, Jon Con, of course, is like very young. Let's see here. He's born in, I guess he's born in 60. And he's friends with Rhaegar. I mean, it's a pretty bold move, actually, considering that, like, that that Aerys was previously thinking that his son was going to overthrow him, and then he appoints his son's best friend or one of his good friends as hand. I mean, it's pretty bold. Maybe his son, maybe Rhaegar convinced him, but right. But I mean, I guess all he did in the epilogue, it just says that he was convinced him that he was going to get Aerys's head, but that was it. Maybe he thought Jon Con was going to be a good general. That's it. That he wasn't really interested in his hand duties, but he dismissed the hand of the King Merryweather, believing him ineffectual. And so it says here he wanted somebody young and vigorous, so he named Jon to the office to match Robert Baratheon. Right, so he was kind of always obsessed with youth. So, but yeah, what I imagine, was Chelstead executed? I'm just trying to think. Yeah. Well, Chelstead. He attempted to prevent its execution. Chelstead protested, pleading with Aerys not to do it, and resigned. Oh, Aerys had him dipped in wildfire and had him burned alive. Yeah, so most of these guys, yeah, Chelstead was killed by the Mad King. Yeah, so, but yeah, a lot of these guys, a lot of these like small council people, I don't even know how much of the small council we know about Aerys II. I mean, obviously, Varys is there, Barristan is there, but who else? Who else is missing here? Do we have the whole small council? Let's see here. Let's go to Aerys II small council. So yeah, Pycelle is Grand Maester. Jon Con exiled. Owen Merryweather exiled. Carlton Chelstead burned alive. Rossart. Oh, he was the wisdom. He was the pyromancer. It says, what happens to Rossart also gets killed? Rossart is but we don't. Rossart dies and was killed, but no one knows who killed him. That's a story right there. Who killed Rossart? Wisdom Rossart. Okay, but we know so Chelstead. We don't know who the new Master of Coin is after they switched out Chelstead for it. He must have had a new Master of Coin. Don't know who it is. We don't know who the Master of Law was. It might have been Simon Staunton. We don't know who the Master of Ships was. It might have been Lucerys Velaryon. Varys is the Master of Whispers. Lord Commander is, obviously the White Bull is Lord Commander. And then, yeah. Oh, yeah, I mean, I don't know who these were, were they exiled? Were they sent home? Lucerys Velaryon? Oh man, he makes it a while. Huh. Yeah. I mean, it's true they should have mentioned these guys. Especially Velaryon. Back at like how did Stannis and Jeor Mormont become friends? Gilly would Gilly, Gilly isn't a bad wife. I actually think Gilly might be a good choice. Strong for they're all connected by the jockstrap incident that won't ever be explained. Elia Martell, but the problem is Elia dies. She's too weak. She's too much of a pushover, Elia Martell. Have you seen the Queen of the GM's video on Mormont's Raven being Benjen in its second life? Seems like a good answer to your Benjen's stream a few weeks ago. I think the problem with this was the problem with this is that let's see. I remember talking about this before, that we don't have any hint that well, first off, like we don't have any hint that Benjen has any skin changing abilities. Okay. It's certainly not practiced at all. Okay. So when you're talking about like taking a second life, you've got to, first of all, have a bond with an animal in the first place. So does Benjen have a second life with the Raven? Is he a skin changer who has a second life with the Raven? Now, if Benjen was taking care of that Raven himself, you'd think that maybe you could argue this. But the Raven is on Mormont's shoulder. It's always Mormont's shoulder. Imagine if, like, you know, and not to mention, like, when Benjen dies, he's hundreds of miles away from Mormont's Raven. So you could think about it this way, like using the same fucking logic. Like I could say, okay, well, maybe Cotter Pike is actually like living a second life in Ghost. And you'd be like, well, wait a minute. Like, doesn't Cotter Pike all the way fucking at Eastwatch? Well, yeah. Isn't Benjen all the way fucking out in the haunted forest somewhere? How is he dying and sending his soul all the way back to the Raven? And then, you know, does Cotter Pike, has he shown any skin changing abilities? Well, no. Well, it's the same with Benjen. He's showed no skin changing abilities. He hasn't developed this at all. There's been we know that the development of the skin changing abilities seems to be related to being around the animal at some point, or going through an experience where you go through sensory deprivation. So like or alternatively, having a psychotropic drug. Like these are the things we seem to create abilities, right? You've got the Stark children are around their direwolves. They develop a relationship with them. It opens their minds. They're able to go back and forth with their souls inside them. Or Arya goes blind. Bran goes blind, is in dark cellars. Like that helps open their mind through sensory deprivation. Or Dany drinks some psychotropic drugs. Arya smells a psychotropic candle. Bran eats psychotropic paste. Aeron drinks psychotropic drugs. All of these things can be used to expand your telepathic abilities. we have no evidence Benjen has done any of this. And, you know, if he's going to do a second life, why would he pick that fucking Raven? Like, which is hundreds and hundreds of miles away that he's not spending any time with. Like, he's a ranger. He's off. Like, it's more likely that he would have a second life with his horse, for example. He's with that horse all the fucking time. You know, like, it makes more, like, I know it's funny, but like, Benjen is a horse is more realistic to me than Benjen being Mormont's Raven. Because he's around the horse all the time, and if he died, he would be near the horse. Hello.
Preston, the reason why the theory doesn't make any sense is because Quinn stole it from me. That was actually my theory, that Benjen warged into Mormont's cock. Now, I was telling this to Quinn, and I should have known something was up when he started, like, that too. I also had that Tywin soul being in Jorah's cock.
I mean, Jorah's cock that he seems to be rubbing, thinking about Stannis.
100%. Now I knew something was up when I told Quinn this, because after I told him, he laughed and then pulled out a pen and paper. I didn't think much of it, but here it is. What's up, homie?
How you been?
Our boy died. I don't know if you saw the news.
Who?
Our guy. Old age, not old age, but he finally
Dick Van Dyke?
No, our boy Rob Reiner.
Oh, Rob Reiner, really?
I thought you were gonna say George. By the way, fun fact: every time I call Trey, every now and then Trey will be like, "Hey Carmine, what's up? Are you calling me because George died?" I'm like, "What? No, Trey, Jesus Christ, what the fuck?"
Rob Reiner died. Oh man, well, you know, Rob Reiner.
I was just talking with someone today about watching The Princess Bride. I haven't seen it yet. I gotta watch that. We gotta watch that.
He produced a lot of movies. I mean, I guess he just got up that last Spinal Tap movie, and that's it. You ain't vote if you don't. If you ain't black if you don't vote for me, Joe Biden. I mean, Joe Biden was fucking right. He was fucking correct. Okay, and no black person like would disagree with him. So like, he's like, it's true.
Well, time for me to get off the stream. Jesus Christ! Holy fuck, Preston.
I know. Bernie, did you vote for Bernie in the primaries? By the time it got to Maryland, no, I was abroad. I didn't. I was living in Germany at the time when there was like primaries in Maryland, and I wasn't able to vote that election. But yeah, plus like that late in the game, I think Hillary had wrapped it up. I forget when Maryland's primary was, but yeah, Hillary was definitely in A Song of Ice and Fire. Yeah, Democrats need to listen to the base of the party, says the person who believes the base of the party is them and their friends who think that like them. That's absolutely right. You know, I it's like, I accept that I'm in some sort of bubble of my own. I accept that there's other bubbles of their own, but like, it's, I have a feeling neoliberals would have still voted Bernie, vote blue no matter who, and all that. The thing is most Bernie voters, nearly all Bernie voters, did vote for Hillary. This is the vote blue no matter who does work for fucking nearly everyone. I mean, like, you got to remember these elections are determined by very slim margins, you know, very slim margins with like shifts of 1% of the population, 2% of the population. So like even like framing everything like, oh, the Bernie bros didn't come out. Like, did the Bernie bros, even really exist in the first place? And like, how many were there? It's all very overblown. Like, shifts in the in elections like are determined by 1% and 2% populate like shifts. You know, like how much Kamala lost by was less than 1%. In Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, less than 1%. So when people are like, "Oh, the amount that Biden won by in Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin was 1%. So like this idea of like, oh, the government, the country swayed this way and swayed that way. These tiny little shifts. So you don't really want to make a big deal out of like the differences between like these two candidates, because there's not much difference. Now, is it enough? Is it the 1%? Is it that 1% shift, or is it a 1% shift the other way? Like, you don't know. You know, like if you swapped out Hillary for Bernie, are you shifting 1% more, or are you shifting 1% the other way? Because it's not like Bernie doesn't have his weaknesses. Clearly he does. Hillary has her weaknesses. Which weakness is it gonna be? Is it gonna be the one that plays out? You don't know. I don't know. I mean, I have my opinion here, obviously, but like, you know, no one knows. No one knows. You can tell President hasn't lived in the United States in a while. The dude thinks communists aren't welcome and like America. LOL. Oh my God, dude. Do you think I haven't like fucking, do you think I'm not in a fucking America right now? Do you think I haven't fucking driven through fucking Trump country? Do you think I haven't seen the fucking signs and the fucking gun loving, Jesus loving shit? Like the Trump worship out there? Like, again, it's this like idea that somehow the world you live in is like how the world exists. Like America is suddenly a bunch of fucking like communist loving like people that just all fucking love Bernie. Like, no. like you don't how many, like, honestly, like how many Gen X friends do you have? How many baby boomer friends do you have? How many millennial friends do you have? How many Gen Z friends do you have? How many black friends do you have? How many Asian friends do you have? How many Jewish friends do you have? How many Southern Baptist friends? How many Lutheran friends? How many friends from West Virginia? How many friends from Arizona? How many friends from Washington? How many friends from Pennsylvania? All this huge mosaic of America and this huge mosaic of demographics and beliefs. And you're going to like tell me like, oh, Preston doesn't know what he's fucking talking about. Like, oh, I know what I'm talking about. Bernie would have won. Asinine ideas about like the certainty of shit, you know? Do you have any Republican friends? Not anymore. I mean, I have a Republican brother. But no, I don't have any Republican friends anymore. I would not morally be friends with a Republican anymore. They're monsters. So.
Interesting.
Oh my God. Who is this fucker? Like, Republicans are worse, but I'm sorry, Democrats are monsters. Your foreign policy is terrific. I mean, what are you against NATO and pro Ukraine? Like what the fuck? Like what are you the two-state solution? Like you're against these things? Like what are you fucking talking about? This is the most like fucking asinine thing I've ever heard. Like Democrats are for the two-state solution. Republicans are not. Therefore, paving Gaza and making it into the fucking Trump Tower. Like what are you fucking talking about? Democrats are for like supporting Ukraine. Like Republicans are not. Democrats are pro NATO. Republicans are not. What the fuck are you talking about? Our foreign policy is horrific. Like what? What are you fucking talking about? Jesus fucking A. Bernie let the DNC cheat him. I don't know all of this stuff. Like Bernie let the DNC cheat him. First of all, Bernie wasn't a fucking Democrat, and the fact that like the Democrats were letting him run in their primaries is already fucking so fucking unfair. Okay, the Republicans don't let non-Republicans run in the Republicans, and the Republicans only had primaries. They didn't have caucuses. Bernie only did well. Like everybody thinks that Bernie had all the support because he fucking like had a caucus in Iowa. Like that's not a fucking primary. It doesn't tell you about like what the population believes. This idea that like Hillary cheated him is Republican propaganda that you got tricked into believing. Because that's what Republicans do, is they trick you into believing this shit. Oh my God. Again, like Republicans are the ones rule. Like like Republicans run the presidency, the Senate, the House, the fucking Supreme Court. What are you fucking talking about? Of course, Republicans fucking rule the world. What are you talking about? Jesus, the loonies are out tonight, Carmine. I don't even fucking know what to do here.
Ban them. Ban all
Ban
of them.
them all.
Ban
them all. Jesus, these people. What the fuck? Oh my God. Have you been drinking Republican Kool-Aid all day long? Like believing this shit? This is what happens. Republicans introduce a lie to divide Democrats and create the circular firing squad. This is what they do. And then they laugh and chuckle. You know, Republicans are the equivalent of that little Weasley kid in school that's like, that kid was talking trash about you, and then goes to the other kid and is like, you gonna take that? And then runs away and goes hee 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 as the two people fight. That's the fucking Republican. Oh my God. Would I have voted for Mamdani? If I lived in New York, sure. I mean, Cuomo was horrible. What are you talking about?
Really? Mamdani? Not Sliwa? Sliwa fought the Ninja Turtles.
Right?
What do you mean? And he got shot by like the Gambinos.
Mamdani seemed fine. You know? Come on. Like the alternatives were shit. Mamdani seemed fine.
I know.
Yeah. These things like Rust Belt voters, like you don't know what you don't know what these Rust Belt, you know, as if everybody in Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan are working in the factory jobs and being like, these like HVAC repairman being like, I want to vote for Bernie, you know, like I'm a Bernie bro and I can't stand that bitch Hillary. I guess I'm going to vote for Trump. You know, like as if that's like the fucking world. Like it's not, as if like rural Wisconsin and rural Michigan and rural Pennsylvania don't fucking exist. As if Pennsyltucky isn't a fucking thing, you know? Rust Belt. Well, I got to pull in Pittsburgh. Like, oh my God, you think like Pennsyltucky is like, you think those motherfuckers aren't sitting there being like, a fucking communist. Do you know how fucking crazy Jesus the middle of Pennsylvania is and how fucking bonkers crazy they would go about like Bernie the communist? Because again, like everybody's judging Hillary after she's already been put through the ringer. After the 150 fucking Hillary email goddamn stories in the New York Times, and after the fucking Hillary email John Ashcroft DOJ fucking thing 2 weeks before the election that they were investigating her. Like you think that wouldn't have happened with Bernie? Do you think the Republicans didn't have a whole fucking bag of dirty tricks for Bernie? Like you're judging Hillary after she was already trashed by all that shit. And Bernie, who they didn't put any effort into because he wasn't the fucking candidate. You know, you're measuring two things. Like somebody that's all like the likability of a candidate who's already been beaten by all that fucking propaganda, the fucking months and months and months of fucking propaganda from the fucking Republican Party, the hundreds of millions of dollars that go into lying in order to get Trump elected over her. Do you think they wouldn't have done that to Bernie? Do you think that that Bernie would have been unscathed? Like they wouldn't have just made up a fucking story? Like they did all the fucking with Hillary. Like there was no fucking email scandal. There was no fucking uranium thing. There was no health crisis. All the fucking shit they made up. You think they wouldn't have been making up shit about Bernie? It's so fucking ridiculous.
Caught yourself there, didn't you?
I mean, what do you think about Hillary's campaign? Do you think it would be better? I mean, was it just sexism? I mean, it was a lot of shit. I mean, obviously sexism was a massive part of it. Should Hillary have done things differently? Obviously. Like, obviously she should have focused more on she should have given up on Florida and focused on Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. And like, obviously, like, her resources were misaligned. She spent a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of campaigns, a lot on Florida. And that was a fucking waste of time. And, you know, hindsight's 2020. You go like Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. Obviously there's that. There's also like, you go dirty, you go dirtier on you take your gloves off just and come up with lies and shit on Trump in the same way that he's lying on about her. I mean, obviously there's things she did wrong. She lost, like, but this idea that like somehow Bernie would have won. It's one of the fucking like most pointless, dumb Monday morning quarterbacking shit that like that is completely unproven based on like how you think 330 million people think 10 years ago. Like, what the fuck, man? Man, oh man. Liberal and Republican foreign policy used to mostly overlap. I will grant you, Joseph, that prior to 2016, the difference between Republican and Democrat foreign policy was very little. Because there was mainly a policy of continuing the previous administration's foreign policy for continuation. You know, obviously the W had a big difference in that he started a war in Iraq. And then Trump's foreign policy is just fucking bonkers. It's fucking bonkers. And I would say now they do not overlap mostly anymore. I mean, when you're talking about one candidate trying to undermine NATO and the other ones being pro NATO, that's like majority of fucking foreign policy right there. That like overwhelms everything else. Like just the NATO thing is so massive that I would say that there is no longer any overlap between their policies. That they're completely different. You know, one is about like having America succeed, and the other is about undermining America and having it destroyed for your own personal gain. Like that's what it is. But this like idea that like Republicans and Democrats are the same is just, it's so fucking stupid. War Machine is about the military industrial complex Ukraine would be 3 years ago. I'm sorry. The war in Ukraine happened because Russia fucking invaded Ukraine. There's a lot of things you can blame on the military industrial complex. Okay. There's sure, you know what, military, you're talking about arms sales to United Arab Emirates. Sure. Military industrial complex, you know, arms sales to Saudi. Sure. Military industrial complex. Ukraine was invaded. They were fucking invaded. How, like, it's very clear cut. Like, they were invaded by Russia. Like, the military industrial complex wasn't sitting around being like, not to mention, like, what they make money on is not the shit we're selling to Ukraine. Okay. What we sell to Ukraine, you know, like, but whatever. I mean, what they make money on are these like fucking huge, like, you know, fighter jets and things like that we sell to Saudi, and the advanced weapon systems that, you know, for Taiwan and stuff like that. Like what we sell to Ukraine is that's not the high dollar amount stuff. So no. Like, look, I question the military industrial complex as much as the next guy, but when a country invades another fucking country, how is this even like, there's no nuance here. It's very fucking simple. Russia invaded Ukraine. That started the war. Like, what the fuck? like, can Preston dunk? I used to be able to dunk a tennis ball, but not anymore. I don't think I can. But yeah. Do Democrats have their own dirty tricks and propaganda? We do, but I don't think that's the same scale. I don't think it's like the same intensity. That the Republicans like how hard the Republicans go. You know. Yeah, that's true. The DNC emails were published to WikiLeaks for the entire time period when Bernie had no path to victory but wouldn't drop out. That's very true. That's a very good point. This was like, because that was when the Julian Assange like hated Hillary Clinton and what was working against her. I loved Howard Dean. Howard Dean with the 50 state strategy was great. I loved Howard Dean. He was a bold guy. I was a big Howard Dean guy. It was nice when the big international treaties like the old Iran nuclear deal were bipartisan. Oh, absolutely. I mean, the fact that like our Middle East policy is so different under Trump. Like he undid our Iran stuff. He completely fucked up the Middle East with Israel. He did the Abrams Accord. He has a completely different view on Palestinians. He's against the two-state solution. Like the whole Middle East. All of Middle East policy is completely different under Trump. Trump had a completely different strategy on Syria. He had he's anti-NATO. He's not pro-Ukraine. If Trump were, I'm sure if Trump knew anything about East Asia, he'd somehow fuck up East Asia too. But like, it's amazing. I mean, and his new thing is like restarting the war on drugs in Latin America. It's completely, utterly different. There like the policy on the world is crazy. But yeah. Oh, did Jeb give Florida to W in 2000 or what? Oh, probably. I mean, you mean realistically on the vote count. I mean, okay, first of all, yes, Jeb was governor of Florida. So obviously the state was already primed to like Bush. And, had Gore spent his time on New Hampshire, he would have won, right? But he went for Florida. He did the Lieberman thing to try to get Florida. And, he failed. Now, depending how you see it, like if you actually did the count, I think they did determine that based on the legal count that Gore would have won by 3 votes if the Supreme Court allowed the vote to keep going. And obviously, then there was the issue of the butterfly ballots, which absolutely cost Gore enough votes to win, and Ralph Nader. And fuck Ralph Nader, who also fucking cost him. So it's really, really sad. It's very sad because obviously Al Gore would have been an incredible president. But there's a lot of things. There's a lot of factors that caused Gore to lose. I mean, he actually did win, but there was, he did win. But, the Supreme Court stopping the vote, Jeb, butterfly ballots, fucking Nader, Jesus Christ. If only we had fucking Gore. The only foreign policy that leftists care about is Gaza. Yeah, and they don't even see it right. I mean, they care about Gaza, but they don't really understand Gaza at all. Like at all. Like they don't if you said to the leftists, like, explain to me the Abrams Accords and how they led to Gaza, they'd be like, what? And you're like, who did the Abrams Accords again? Whose idea was that? You're right, it was Jared Kushner, right? Like, once you go past one sentence of like information, they're like, they don't understand. They're it's so simplistic to them. And I'm not saying that like Israel is complicated. Like, obviously I'm for 2-state solution and just based on the Oslo lines and just fucking get out, make it a country now, make Palestine a country now. Like that's where I am. But like, this idea of just focusing on Gaza and thinking that like it has to do with US providing weapons is this very simplistic and wrong opinion. But yeah, Trump's NATO shit makes me think the P-tape is legit. That's true. Does God have any republics? Republics or Republicans? Berserk with the boys. Yeah, it's been a while since we've done Berserk with the boys. We should do that.
Should we though?
Yeah,
we should be doing Pluribus with the boys. That's what we.
That's true.
That's what we should be doing is Pluribus with the boys.
Looking back at Al Gore, I mean, it's crazy that we took it, and then because the what ifs then, right? Like, had Al Gore been president during 9/11, then he would have had the 92% approval rating, and then everyone would have fucking loved Al Gore they would have reelected Al Gore and been like, what a great guy, 9/11, all behind Al Gore, and then we would have had like a massively Democratic Supreme Court. Yeah, would have been a different time. A lot of pro-Palestinian folks now seem to want a one-state solution. How do you stand up for Palestinians but not get their own? But not getting the? How do you stand up for Palestinians but not them getting their own state? So the people that are for the when they talk, there's two different one-state solutions that we talk about. So there's the far right Israeli one-state solution that involves ejecting the Palestinians from the West Bank and Gaza and taking all of that land for themselves. That's the far right Israeli one-state solution. And we've heard Trump talk about this. We've heard Trump being like, if Jordan just takes all of these people as refugees, or they push all of the Gazans into Egypt and stuff like this. Like, this has been openly talked about by people in the Israeli government. So the far right has their one-state solution. The far left talks about a one-state solution, and what they want is that all Palestinians would be given equal rights in a single state, whether it be Israel or named Israel or Palestine, it doesn't matter, but that they would all be given, and the right of return for all of those refugees would happen, and as well, and they would all get equal rights and full citizenship. Okay. And if that happened, like, first of all, if you gave citizenship to all Palestinians in the territories, your population would be majority Muslim, and it would no longer be a Jewish state. And then if you let all the refugees return, now you're down to like 25%. Or 33% of the population being Jewish. And, no Israeli would ever tolerate that. They would never tolerate that. They would go into full war. So it's just not a realistic solution. I understand that, like, in a moral sense, if you want to be in a moral sense, like, should all Palestinians have the right of return and have equal rights in a one state? Is that the most just solution. Yes, but it's never gonna fucking happen. Like even me saying two-state solution, that's also already a snowball's chance in hell, but it's at least like a snowball's chance. The one state solution for all Palestinians getting equal rights and with total right of return for the refugees is so like we will be like living on Alpha Centauri before that kind of shit would happen. Okay. Like it's such a ridiculous thing. I mean, why not Chinese democracy too? Why not secular Iran? Like, it's just, well, yeah, I like all of these things. Like, what, you know what I want? I want America and the Soviet Union and all the other nuclear powers to get rid of nuclear weapons. Yeah, that would be the best solution. You're right, it would be, and it's never gonna fucking happen. Like, so like talking about the left-wing one-state solution is ridiculous. Unfortunately, the right-wing one-state solution is very much a dangerous possibility. And that's why like the two-state solution or a three-state solution, you can separate Gaza and West Bank is it's the most realistic, safe like option going forward for the Palestinians. But yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, give Palestinians full right of return and reparations. Like, it's not gonna like. Look, I'm gonna like if I were gonna come up with a solution, okay, and I'm gonna come up with like let's say here's what I'm gonna say about like the most realistic thing, okay, that's fair, okay. I say, okay, we have a two-state solution where based on the Oslo lines, and then we deal with as regard to the refugees, Israel takes 1 million back as right of return. West Bank and Gaza take 1 million back as right of return. Jordan assimilates 500,000 into Jordan. Europe takes 1 million refugees. America takes 1 million Palestinian refugees. You know, something like that. I'm probably still left with many millions of refugees here. But say I come up with some sort of solution like that, which is probably the most in the middle you can possibly be on like trying to come up with a solution. No one would ever accept that one. And that's the one that's like right in the middle. That's the one that's where you're just like, that would probably work. There's no politician that would accept that. Even like that little part of like America takes 1 million refugees. America taking 1 million Muslims? Even the Europe part. Europe taking 1 million Muslims? I mean, after the Syrian refugees, even in Jordan, 500,000 more Palestinians are like, that's the thing is I can come up with like a really equitable like solution like that. And even that reasonable one would be rejected. So to say like Palestinians should have full right of return and reparations, never going to fucking happen. Okay. Even the one I just named, which is like the most reasonable you can get, it's never going to fucking happen. No one's going to take it. Which, you know, I make this joke all the time. The real solution is so in Israel and Palestinian territories, Jews and Muslims cannot marry. Okay. I mean, technically speaking, under Islamic law, a female Jewish person can marry a male Muslim, but for the most part, like it just doesn't happen. And in Israel, Jews and Muslims cannot marry. So they recognize foreign marriages. So like rich Jews and Muslims that can fly to Cyprus can get married and come back and be recognized. But in Israel and the territories, there's not really marriage between Jews and Muslims. My solution is to flip it. That Now, Jews are not allowed to marry Jews, and Muslims are not allowed to marry Muslims. Jews must marry Muslims, and Muslims must marry Jews, so that all children will be half Muslim, half Jewish, and that's the solution. Is everybody gets mixed up like Starbelly Sneetches at the end of the Sneetches book, and or two-state solution. No, Palestinian Christian, it's not 40, 60, 60. No, it's not. It's about 90, 10. It's not anywhere close. It might even be 95, 5. It's not anywhere close to 60, 40. No. The like even in Lebanon, the most Christian of all of the Middle East isn't even close to 30% of the population being like Egypt is a very Christian country, and it's 1090, and there hasn't been it's a big deal. There hasn't been a census in Lebanon because their parliament their breakdown is based on a census, and so if they do another census, they'd have to readjust parliament. So they haven't done a census in 100 years, but the Christian population of Lebanon, which is the most Christian, is what 30 to 33% of Lebanon. So that's the most. So maybe you're confusing Lebanon, like the possible 70, 30, 60, 40 thing of Christian that's Lebanon, but that's not the Palestinian population. Palestinians are in the 90, 10, 95, 5 breakdown. And in Gaza, it's like 99, 1. There's hardly any Christians in Gaza. Yeah. So. Oh man, all others mess Mary Green Sears. It's true. So Carmine, anything else before I head to bed?
If you can't make it tomorrow, I'm gonna have to do that thing without you because we keep holding it off, and this fucking guy is gonna escape from our fingers. I got my list of questions.
I'll come up with something tomorrow. Yeah, I have not. I have not done questions yet, but I'll.
Fuck you mean you come up with something? What do you mean? I thought you. This has been ongoing. This has been a thing we've scheduled for like 2 weeks. You don't have your questions already?
Busy man. You know.
That's interesting that you say you're busy, considering we're about to invade Venezuela, and all of a sudden you're in America. I'm just saying. Look, I'm just saying what things people are not. I'm just saying what people are thinking. I'm just saying. Is there anything you want to tell us?
What's that?
Anything you want to tell us about what's going on with your president and his maneuvers over in Venezuela? Anything?
Oh, I don't know anything about that.
I'm sure you don't. You got to catch up on Pluribus. Are we covering Welcome to Derry? No, right? You don't care about it?
Oh, I haven't watched that.
Okay, well, just so you know, I don't know if you did you see the Coming in 2026 from HBO? Did you see that?
I did. I saw that. We're getting Euphoria season 3.
I mean, your favorite actor, or I'm sorry, your favorite actress, Sydney Sweeney, is coming back for Euphoria season 3. So let's fucking go, my dude. Let's fucking go.
I didn't watch seasons 1 and 2, so fuck that. So
me neither.
do I believe these kids are still in high school? Whatever.
No, this is post high school. This is 5 years later.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. So, Dune season 2. I think that's coming in 2026, which I'm actually fucking surprised they filmed this shit. Once upon a time, we got one season of Game of Thrones every year. Remember that?
Yeah, well, good times. We used to get 25 episodes of series,
We were
Deep Space Nine, 26 episodes. Next year, 26 episodes.
Damn, they were cracking the whip back then. Holy shit, how the fuck did they get 26 episodes?
That'd be hilarious if we got Derry Girls and Welcome to Derry at the same time. Oh, man. Walked them back to back. Oh, you ever watch Derry Girls?
No, you gave me, the one show you told me to watch was Fleabag, and I binged all of that. Hilarious show. You gave me that recommendation for Fleabag. And hey, real quick, they never say her real name in the show. Like they never any
That's
point in
right.
time say
Yeah.
Fleabag's name. Why is
Right.
that?
I don't know. I think it's just the thing. Yeah, the Dairy Girls. You never watched this. It's a pretty funny show. I mean, it's easy to watch. It's nice. But the Dairy
What's it about?
Girls.
Just girls in dairy?
So it's about, it takes place in the 90s. It takes place in the late 90s. And it takes place after, like, during, like, Bill Clinton's, like, peace talks with Northern Ireland, about Northern Ireland, and that's the backdrop. But that's not the plot at all. It's just them in high school and doing crazy high school stuff at that time. And it's kind of interesting because it's about, like, the stuff is happening and, like, the adults are sort of paying attention to it, and they're in the background, and their, like, tension like seeps into the Dairy Girls' lives, but they're high school girls, so they don't really fucking know or care about what's going on. They're interested in boys and shit like that, So, like, it's fascinating in that sense. So, like, in that it's a show happening at this revolutionary time, but none of the characters really know or care about the thing or understand it because they're high schoolers, So it's just kind of weird.
Whoa. Season one holds an approval rating of 100% based on 24 critics on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's really funny. It's really funny.
This sounds like the Irish version of Skins. I don't know if you've ever seen Skins. Our boy Ian Rion, who played Ramsey, is in it. It sounds like Skins
no, it's not. It's not as vulgar as Skins. Like it's a fairly innocent show, actually. Like Dairy Girls. Considering how many high school shows are about everybody, like, drinking and fucking and Euphoria. Like, it's a fairly innocent show that actually, like, gets the right balance of how kids actually act in high school. So it's good. It's good. In case you're not on next week, thanks for all the you and Carmine do, all the things that you and Carmine do. Top 1% in hours of entertainment, thought provoking. Thank you, Stormborn Dragon. I do really appreciate it.
Why the fuck will we be not on next? Oh, that's right, Christmas. That's right. I don't really. It's whatever.
Oh, is next week Christmas? I think I'll probably be on next week, but I'll probably be on.
It's the 21st. So will you be in America, Dominican, or Venezuela?
I'll be back in Dominican Republic next week. So
cool beans.
Wait, Rob Reiner was. Wait, are they claiming Rob Reiner was murdered? What is this?
Yes,
he was old.
I thought I told you that.
He didn't die of old age?
No, no, he died from stab wounds. I thought I said that. Did I not say that?
What?
Oh
shit! I mean, he's an old man, so he's 78. Like, fuck, what?
Yeah, I thought I told you that. Did I not say that? My bad.
I mean, now you're fucking like, oh my God. Oh no. Oh, they were killed by their son. Oh.
Their son? That's new. What? Is that just new information right there? Whoa.
Oh, fuck. Oh. Great way to fucking bring this stream end on a down note. Fucking A. I mean, look, Rob Reiner was a great guy, and he lived a long, happy life, and he brought a lot of people happiness. And 78 years. I'm just going to say, like, as a life, like, what a fucking great guy. Long, wonderful life. But fuck. Fuck, that's sad. All right. Fucking A, man. Poor Rob Reiner. Jesus. God damn it. God damn it. Oh, how horrible, man. How horrible. God damn. That's too bad. Well, Carmine, thank you for staying with me. And I guess
You off already?
Yeah, I know. All right, man. I'll talk to you soon. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Yes.
All right. Bye, everybody. Thank you.